Hi, and welcome to Module 3. This module will take you from roughly February 24th, right? Yes, all the way to March 16th and the beginning of March break. So this module starts with a craft exercise. This craft exercise is focused on dialogue, and it's a little more complicated. It's a little more complicated than some of the ones you've done before, but please don't skimp on it. I think you'll find it very, very interesting. Our goal in doing this particular craft exercise, the one you're going to be doing in this module, is to develop our ears to really notice the different ways different kinds of people speak. Just as in the first craft exercise in Module 1, where you eavesdropped on a conversation going on in a public place, that was intended to make you a little more aware, a little more sensitive to what makes a person different than someone else, the real life of a person. It's very, very difficult to have multiple characters in one scene where they're speaking back and forth and have them sound differently. All too often, I know in my own writing, I should say, often if you have 2 or 3 different characters speaking back and forth, they will sound like the same person. We can't help it, right? We tend to draw from our own way of expressing ourselves and imbue that imbue that quality onto our characters. So the purpose of the craft exercise that you're going to be doing in this module is to begin to make you aware of the differences that are implicit in the way people speak one from another. You're also going to be finishing up Drown. So you're going to be reading from the title story, Drown, to the end of the book. I think in this second half of this collection, it becomes even more difficult to ascertain whether we have the same common protagonist in each story, with the exception of No Face, which is the penultimate story. It's pretty clear in that story that we're back with Israel, the boy in Dominican Republic who had his face eaten off by wild pigs. Remember him? So aside from that story, where it's very clearly not Junior, I think in this second half it becomes even harder to tell whether we are in fact dealing with the same character. After rereading these stories again, the second half, I'm like, I'm not sure. I really don't think we have Junior in every single story. There's a few clues in there that makes me wonder. I don't think we need to get totally hung up on whether Junior is in fact the narrator of every single story. I think what's more interesting is to look at it as a very successful portrayal of a common cultural experience. That is the experience of a young Dominican man transcending or crossing cultures and dealing with the mirage of the American dream. So if we look at it that way, we don't need to get hung up on it. However, it is very interesting. Anyway, I'm going to be very interested to hear what you think. All right. So that's the reading. Now, at the end of this module on March 16th, you are going to be turning in your progress draft. Please read through all of the sections of this module right from beginning to end, so you have a really good idea of what this 3 weeks is going to encompass. You will be turning in a progress draft, which is worth 25% of your final grade, on March 16th, which is the last day of this module. That progress draft will consist of 1 short story from your cycle and 1 revision of that story, or it will consist of 2 short stories from your cycle. So that's your choice. You can decide which you're most comfortable with, as well as a letter discussing your process, your vision, struggles, and so on. I want to hear your thoughts and your self-awareness. Is that the right term? your awareness of the process, I guess. Okay, so that is for March 16th. I'm just double checking my notes here. You will also note the very final section of this module asks you to give me some information in preparation for a craft exercise that will be coming up in a future module. So please get that information to me. When you read through the instructions of the final section of this module, it's pretty easy to follow. Last but not least, please start thinking about when you want to workshop. There is a deadline for workshopping, and I believe it's mid-April. I can't think of the exact date off the top of my head, but I do know that it's in the syllabus. I want to say it's April 14th or 16th, after which time your workshop group is not obliged to accept your draft. So my point is, you are currently in workshop groups. You'll be workshopping through the forum that is set up for workshops. And if you go into our main forum on OnCourse and scroll down, you'll see that there is a separate forum set up for each workshop group, and you will find your name on one of those forums. And that is the group that you will be workshopping with. You will post your story there in that forum, and you will send an email out, or I should say, an OnCourse message. You know how to message each other through using OnCourse. You'll send that out to your group members, letting them know that your draft is posted in the forum for your group and that you are ready to have their feedback. And your group will know to go there, read the story, and give feedback. Please, we've talked about this a little bit before, please do not leave it too late, okay? So I want the story you decide to workshop, I want it to be as polished as you can make it before you release it to your group. But that said, don't leave it too late, okay? Let's see, I think that's it. I'm looking forward to reading your thoughts and observations about Drown. This is our last 3 weeks for Drown, and then we move into a third short story cycle, which is going to be just as different from Drown and Dubliners as Drown and Dubliners are from each other. So have an awesome module, and I'll be talking to you soon.